Hey guys, we just installed new floors and today I'm going through and replacing the molding where the floors meet the wall. So I figured I would shoot a video and show you how to install quarter round molding. You can also use this same technique on baseboard, shoe molding, or whatever you're putting in to bridge the gap between the floor and the wall. For this project, you only need a few things. Quarter round molding, just a thin piece of molding. It comes in 12 or 8-foot pieces. A hammer, you can tell mine has been well used. Some finishing nails. These are really thin, skinny nails that don't protrude too much from the molding. And then this handy little tool that is called a nail set. It's like $4 at the hardware store. And lastly, you will need some latex sealant. I have this big gun that I like to use, but it also comes in just normal tubes, so you don't need this little gun thing to shoot it out. I am working in this little small section here right now. The rest of this wall is going to be a sliding door, so it doesn't need molding. So I figured this would be a nice, small, manageable section to show you. So I have already cut my quarter round to fit this space. You can just cut it using an ordinary handsaw, a hacksaw, or if you have a fancy table saw, that'll work too. It's really easy to cut. Line it up with your spot where you are going to install it. And the key thing here is you want it to be as flat on the floor as possible. It's okay if there's a little bit of a gap between the molding and the wall, because you can always fill that in with sealant later. But you don't want it to be like flush with the wall and have a gap between the molding and the floor. All right, so once you've got your molding in position, you're gonna drive your nail in. You wanna do it always into the wall, never into the floor. And it's easiest if you do it, like, you don't wanna do it directly parallel with the floor because you'll never be able to hit the nail. You wanna do a little bit of a downward angle, straight into the wall behind it. So here we go, wish me luck. Hopefully I'm not gonna knock my finger off here on video. Okay, so the goal is to drive the nail in almost all the way, but not completely there, because at that point you will be hitting the molding with your hammer and making a dent, and that is not what you want. So you're gonna get it so it's almost there, and then you're gonna use the nail set to drive it the rest of the way. I'm not sure how great of a close-up I'm gonna be able to give you while I'm actually hammering this in, so I'm gonna take a minute here and show you where I'm at. The nail is almost all the way into the baseboard, but not quite. And I'm gonna get the nail set here. It's just like a little pencil-like tool, and I'm gonna put it right up against the head of that nail. It's almost exactly the same size. But when I use the nail set to hammer it in, I'm not gonna be hitting the molding with my hammer and making dents. So I'm gonna just hammer the top of this nail set to drive the nail the rest of the way in. Here's how it looks when you're done with the nail set. You can see I missed once with the hammer head and once with the nail set. So I got a couple dents, but that's totally fine. That's what we're gonna fill in later with the sealant. And that dent can be buffed out with a little bit of fine grain sandpaper at the end. My second one went in almost perfect. That's exactly how you want it to look. It takes some practice, so it's probably a good idea to practice this on like a spare piece of plywood before you do it on your actual molding, because you will miss a few times, and like I'm still missing when I'm doing it on the actual molding. So don't worry if it's not totally perfect. And then last thing is your sealant. I like to do this with some paper towels handy. You can see it's sticking to the front there, because this can get a little messy, but don't worry, it's not permanent. Any mistakes, you can just wipe them up. So you just kind of want to make a nice line of sealant in between the wall and the baseboard. And once you get going, the best is when you can just like keep it moving. Just keep moving. You don't want to do too many stops and starts or you're going to get lumps. So if you can like pick up some momentum, I'm trying here, it'll be a nice smooth line. There we go. The very best tool for smoothing out this sealant is your finger. So just take your finger, drag it along the seam, and look how perfect that is turning out. It's nice and smooth. If you get some excess on your finger, just wipe it on the paper towel and keep going. I did one more dab of sealant over the tops of my nail heads, and it's a little bit lumpy, so I'm just gonna sand it out like I mentioned with some fine grit sandpaper once the sealant is dry. I'm gonna clean up this baseboard here, get some of that dirt off, and this section is done. If you like this video, I would love it if you subscribe to my channel so I can show you what I'm up to in the future. We've got a lot of work to do on this house, and I would love it if you followed along with my projects. Thanks for watching.